Lucky you.
36 best
Tuned
holes in
into
golf.
Alternate Shots podcast,
Barney's Army.
where we talk about golf,
Sandy.
poker,
James Bond.
horse racing,
Double.
classic movies.
Zenyatta.
We have no script,
Down the stretch they
and
come.
we are glad you joined us.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Okay, Billy, this is our I guess it's our third.
The Open. The doping.
Yeah, but how many dope series have we done? This is at least the 3 or 4 of them. This is our two dopes doping out, not the British Open, the Open Championship, right?
Correct. And I suspect as long as we live, there'll be two dopes doing this for many more episodes.
Well, I have this picture up for obvious reasons. He's the reigning Open champion, Cam Smith, and he beat quite a crowd of folks last year, did he not?
Oh, I'll say. He's quite a player. I was sad to see him go to live, but maybe they'll work that all out.
What goes around may come back around, right? You ask him about 72 holes he played at St. Andrews, and he's going to be 99 years old, and he's coming up on his 100th birthday. He's going to remember this shot, right?
It was like my brother was caddying for him. I mean, when he did that, I was like, wow, he might be the only guy that would have done that. So look at the contours around that bunker. Any misstep there, and he's doomed.
Yeah, and the picture was all I got to take, really. Doesn't show the depth of that bunker right in front of him, 2 paces in front of him. It's about another 5 feet down. You just see the revetted face of that. You don't see this. You kind of get the steepness of this. But when I rewatched the Open this morning, he hit this like a normal 30-footer. So that fescue there to the right of the revetted faces is pretty fast, like a speedway.
Yeah. Well, he must have known that because he put it all together. I just find it, I think Alistair McKenzie once said there's no beauty in a pitch shot compared to watching a ball roll along the ground, disappear behind a mound, and then come out the other side dead to the hole.
Right.
And it brings a smile to everybody's face. No one can resist it. That's the beautiful thing about golf, and I've said it before. I don't care if you're in contention for the #1 spot of the world, and the guy with you is your adversary, and he makes a hole in one, you cheer. It's impossible to not enjoy that, regardless of what it means to you personally in a round of golf. Everyone enjoys seeing shots like that.
And there's everyone behind the wall there. There's got to be thousands of people there sitting there. Oh boy, here's the end of his chances. He's going down.
How many of them are thinking, what the hell's he doing?
He's going down.
Down in flames.
Down. He might hit the wall. I mean, people putted over that green. It's only so wide.
And Alistair McKenzie would have appreciated that shot. And McKenzie worked early on with Harry Holt, who did the on Hoy Lake, where they're playing this week. An old-time designer who had his hands in a lot of stuff. I think over 300 courses that he either designed or redesigned. Including, I had a list here of Muirfield, he helped redesign, Sunningdale, Royal Liverpool, Royal Port Rush, Holyoke design. Hoy Lake. I keep saying Holyoke. And of course our favorite Stoke Park, where James Bond took down Goldfinger in a strict rules of golf confrontation.
Well, he plays right into our sweet spot. This Harry Colt was almost romantic from a golf course. He was in the romantic area where Royal Liverpool, my notes, was it was called Liverpool Hunt Club, where they had a race course, a racing course, which is obviously of interest to us and part of our podcast. But it was called Liverpool Hunt Club, and then it became a Royal. I don't really know why it's called Royal Liverpool.
I think the Royal stuff came when Princes or somebody played there.
But Harry Colt, like, this was a race course again, more than just golf. And then the Stoke Park was Goldfinger. I mean, classic icon movies and so forth. What a designer. What would have been fun to kind of watch him at work over a couple of years' time, huh?
That's not his ball. How do you know that? Because I'm standing on it. Yeah, that was classic.
What would the secretary say about your
Yeah, I own the club, Mr. Bond. How about Roy McIlroy, who, God bless him, has had his issues closing tournaments, finishing up birdie last week to win that tournament. Making, I think it was only three, he was the third birdie on 18 that day or something like that.
Well, and 17 was no picnic. If
No
you look
pick,
at the last 10 guys and look at their score on those two, if they were even par for those two holes, that was magical. And he was 2 under, and he was way behind.
and what a bad beat for McIntyre, who played lights out. I mean, you want to talk about laddering up. That kid played unbelievable golf.
Well, McIntyre is definitely, a really good golfer, and he's going to win. The question is, will he win this week? I don't know. What do you think?
He's coming off probably a pretty emotional high, low, high kind of thing. I don't know. Has anyone ever won, questioning McIlroy, has anyone ever won these two tournaments back to back? Not that I know of.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
McIlroy seems to be finding his swing.
Well, he's the favorite, over Scheffler and Rahm. Rahm's kind of disappeared since the beginning of the year when he was hotter than
Yeah,
blazes.
there's golf. You think something's going to go on forever and ever, and all of a sudden, it all changes. I mean, look at David Duval years ago. It looked like he was going to be unbelievable, and and for a couple of years he was, and then boom, gone.
I don't know if I'm going to be betting on Scheffler, because I see some sort of, he was invincible with his putter from 6 to 25 feet, and now he's starting to miss them all.
Yeah.
And these major championships, as you can see with McIlroy, I mean, Genesis Scottish Open is a pretty good event. The venue's cool, right next to Muirfield. How about that club, which is relatively new, right? I would call it the Renaissance Club, but they call it the Renaissance Club, right?
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out.
That just because they want to bother you and me.
Yeah. They just want us to search it on the internet.
Right. And
if you look at the list that you have up here of these open players, I mean, who you can't eliminate any. Look at this, the people on this list. I mean, I don't think in the history of golf, I don't think there's been more competition than there is right now. I mean, you had in the old days, you had Nicklaus and Player and Palmer, and there's 12 to 15 guys like that now. That it's a coin flip.
I have a different list to show you, but it would cover twice as many, 25 or 45. I can bring that up. But your guy McIntyre isn't even on this list. This is the Las Vegas odds to win the British Open, the Open Championship.
Well, that's what I mean. And that's based on, past history and stuff like that. And anybody can always jump up and win a golf tournament. They wouldn't be there if they weren't capable of it. Patrick Cantlay, where's he been? He looked like he was going to win everything in the world. And now, he's not bad, but he's not the prohibitive favorite anymore. That's golf.
I've kind of gone soft on the Lowry, the Cantleys, the Morikawas. I'm not betting a dime on Spieth. I think he's got the two-way miss, and in these opens, you get.
I say Renaissance, and I'm not going to try the other way.
Scottish Open last week, let's call it. I could say Scottish Open. The Scottish Open, that rough was tough. But the further right or the further left you hit it, it was like hitting it in the fairway because it's all trampled down.
Right.
See what happens at Hoylake.
That might help Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth is very good at recovering, as he demonstrated a few years back over there. So I agree with you. He's not somebody that I'm putting a lot of money on, but I always root for him. Who's more fun to watch than him? You get with the commentary you get while he goes. It's almost like you're out there with him. And he's got such an even keel. He's hard not to root for him. But I'm clearly going to be rooting for Ricky Fowler. But I look at this list. I don't know. There's no way you can, commit a lot of money with confidence on any of these guys. this might be a pick five guys and take a shot that way.
The guy in the bottom's just as likely. Sam Burns had a pretty good Scottish Open. He ran
Absolutely.
into trouble on a one hole. If you saw it, he was like unbelievable. He hit just not enough club to clear the revetted faces, and he was lucky he didn't plug in the revetted face. And then he had a 10-15 minute wait to get a ruling because he had some sod pieces. And does that, well, sod and revetted face are pieces, right?
For
Those
the
are
game.
pieces of sod. That's what they use to make a revetted face.
So let's take this list from the top down and see if we can eliminate half the list. You can't eliminate any of the top five guys. I might be able to eliminate Fleetwood, Hatton,
Why
Schauffele.
would you eliminate Fleetwood and Hatton and Schauffele?
Why? Because they don't seem to close the door.
That's exactly it. They're good, but I don't think they're going to win because they don't close.
Yeah.
Spieth does close.
Spieth does. Cantley does, but hasn't recently. The Spieth
Dustin
can
Johnson
close if he
closes.
doesn't blow up early.
Koepka and Johnson, you can say what you want. I think Koepka, it's hard to tell because you don't see him since he won the PGA, he did pretty well in the Masters. He's had a pretty good season, but you don't see him in the in-between weeks. But I think Dustin Johnson may give it a run. I sense he hits a hard ball.
Just get, is he tired of not winning? That's where I would be focusing on Dustin Johnson, because he's clearly talented enough to win any tournament he plays. And for a while, he was winning all the time. That seems to have left him, but maybe he wakes up and says, enough of this. I'm going to go out and win. A lot of it's between the ears. As Bobby Jones and Alistair McKenzie both said, the game is played between the ears.
So let's say that this list, you're going to go out and watch two guys, and they're in two different groups. Which two guys would you want to go follow around?
Ricky.
Yeah.
Because he's just, it's hard not to root for Ricky Fowler. He's the modern day Arnold Palmer as far as how he treats the fans and the game as an ambassador. I mean, you can't get around that. I don't know. If I was following guys around because I had money on them, I think I'd probably watch Cameron Smith. I think he's probably got a real good shot because I think he's got ice in his veins. And I guess John Rahm.
No, you said Cameron Smith.
Yeah.
I'd like to watch him. I think the guy I'd like to watch would be this Matt Fitzpatrick because, he's their guy. He won the U.S. Open. He's the, current year ago he won it. Would he step up his game and now match that with the Open Championship? I'd certainly like to watch Tom Kim. That guy is electric.
Yeah, he's fun.
Kim,
What is he, 20 years?
Young guy.
22 or something?
Yeah. I mean, wow. and he's Hovland and I think this Kim, it's hard not to like them. They have a smile. They go out there, and they're.
Yeah, Hovland is very steady.
Yeah. If he doesn't have chipping problems, I think he'd do well. I mean, Hovland and Morikawa earlier this year, they were plagued by chipping. Was it Morikawa had a lead in some tournament and blew it because of his around the green play?
I mean, he hits it as solid as anybody, I think. But again, he's had trouble closing the door, in recent times. And I don't think you are allowed to have even a flinch in this kind of a tournament. You need to be resilient, and you need to close. So a guy like Jordan Spieth is resilient. He could hit it off the planet and still come back. You see some of the shots he hits are, they make you laugh. They're so ridiculous. Mm-hmm. How he gets in that position is another story. Right? But that shot he hit in the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup, where he almost fell in the water at the end. It was straight uphill. Yeah. He ended up having to, off balance, run down the hill and catch himself before he went off the cliff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I think this Hoylake is the least exciting layout in the Rota. You're getting around, every 5 years they have it at the St. Andrews. You know, I think the Rota is great. Muirfield, if they're in the Rota, but this one, I think we'll see. We'll see what happens. These bunkers, depending on the wind, you know, that's a big difference between any tournament we see. You know, the British Open, the Open Championship, a bunker can make that bunker on 17 should have done in Cam Smith. It didn't. The fact that he made par from there is going to go down as one of the greatest fours in the history of St. Andrews. And if that's the 150th Open Championship, it may be the top par made, at least the top 10 pars made in that tournament, maybe the top par ever made on that hole.
And it's critical where you end up in the bunker on a lot of these bunkers too, you know. Some of them you have to hit out sideways or away from the hole, as you see some of these guys doing.
Yeah, I kind of want to go with somebody under 35 or 40 because the wind beats you down. I love Justin Rose. What a beautiful golf swing he has. We're talking about.
Yeah, he seems to be rejuvenated also.
Starting to make those putts, you know, when he won the Open at Marion, he was making putts. When he wins, he's making those putts. As funny as his putting, you know, the whatever that putting thing he has. What about these guys going to the kind of a longer putter, you know, that Ben on, and you got these guys are buying this putter. It's like Adam Scott's putter.
I think Adam Scott is a very good player. I think his putting is way below par. And I feel that way about putting in general. Guys who keep changing their putter, they're pros, so they know what they're doing. Me, I would think if you're looking for your answer with a new putter every couple of weeks, it's not the Indian or it's the Indian, not the arrows. So I don't know.
Got to float in your mind that when you start missing putts, you said, I shouldn't have changed the putter. And then that's another thing, a negative thought that's coursing through your brain while you're trying to battle the elements and the competitors.
And they just said, they were talking about Rory McIlroy taking a different approach to putting, which is an approach I'm very much in favor of, which is a lot less analysis and, see it and hit it.
Thanks to Brad Faxon. Yep.
Yeah, Brad Faxon.
Yeah,
I agree. And Brad Faxon's one of the world's greatest putters. So
if some of these guys that take they have this bending down in their knees and they're getting the ball and the line, and and then they mark it and the line isn't exactly where they want to. Well, that's the aim point. But I'm just talking about marking the ball. Aim point, I don't even understand. I think they've been doing aim point for a long time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you look, I use the plumb bob. I think the plumb bob is essentially giving you which way the ground is. It this way? Is it this way? Is it this way? Is it this way? And then later it's that way.
Now they walk.
They feel it.
Yeah, they straddle their own path.
Yeah, I love it. Sometimes
but it works for these guys. I can't be judgmental or critical about any of them. They're all on the pro tour, making a lot of money and winning a lot of tournaments. But I think if I'm a coach, which I'm never going to be, obviously, putting is to me about feel and confidence. So if you have to keep changing your club, then you don't have confidence, and the club's not. Maybe you find something that looks nicer or feels better, and it gives you the confidence. But you're never going to win if you're not confident with your putter, regardless if it's a long putter, a short putter, or a cue stick.
You look at John Rahm earlier this year when he was playing well, Scotty Scheffler in this past year, and then a rookie out there, Eric Cole. Talking to Neil Christie, our buddy from Wingfoot, he says he just loves to watch Eric Cole putt. If you ever get a chance, and he doesn't get as much coverage as, say, Spieth or Cameron Smith or Koepka, but when you see him, watch his pace. His pace is uncanny. It's within 6 to 10 inches one way on one side or another of the hole. And he can light it up, and he's about 150 pounds. He's like a Ben Crenshaw size.
Wearing the aerobic pants.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I may have to kid him about that, but he's probably making money wearing them. So what the heck, right?
Whatever floats your boat.
All right, so let's wrap this up. You get to pick 4 first. We can both pick the same guys. I'll let you go first. What's your pick 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll see how we do when we get together next week after the Open's over. So number one pick.
This is betting with my heart more than my brains. I'll go Fowler, Rahm, Cameron Smith, and Jordan Spieth.
Okay.
By the way, I'm not
So-
sure any of them can win, but
Well, I think you,
Any
you
of them
said it
win.
well. Yeah, you know, and there's a whole thing in science about pools and stuff like that. Everybody can pick Scotty Scheffler, and then you're just along with everybody.
yeah,
Right? I think I'm going to go with Hovland. My theory is going to be guys that were close. I'm going to do Dustin Johnson because I don't think anybody's picking him. I'm going to go with Matt Fitzpatrick.
that's a good pick. I'm not sure Dustin Johnson's cut out for the linksy courses over there, but maybe he is.
And then I'm going to go with Sam Burns. And the reason I'm going to go with Sam Burns is I think he's got a big chip on his shoulder. And this would take him from, say, a top 75, top 50, 40, whatever the conversation he's in, to a top 15. I think it helps him out a lot with his career, what's happening the rest of the year. Just imagine if you win the Open Championship. You got guys playing this year that won the Open Championship. John Daly is playing in the Open Championship. Okay.
Right.
You know, he's going over there for his brand more than anything else, right?
He just overpowered the place when he won.
Yeah, but he was an uncanny putter too. You know,
Yeah, he was very, very great hands. Very good short game.
yeah, he that was a great one at St. Andrews where his opponent chili dipped it and bombed it in.
Yeah.
But you got people that we don't know about. We haven't talked about McIntyre. Would it surprise you if McIntyre won the Open Championship?
It would surprise me only on the level that coming off last week, I think he's clearly capable as he showed last week, but can you carry that over 2 rounds in a row? Maybe yes, you know, or was there enough like emotional energy wasted, you know, thinking he might win, then is he in a playoff and then he's out, you know, because McIlroy goes birdie on him, which it's not McIlroy's style, to be honest. He's a great player, but like Jimmy Graham said yesterday, I would have bet anything he wasn't going to close it out. You know?
Well, that's the other thing. Very rarely do people win back-to-back tournaments, right?
Right.
I mean, what do you think? Do you think he could win back-to-back? We didn't even.
I think McIlroy might break that mold because he just hits the ball so far and so straight. So I guess it'll depend on the wind and the bounces, and it always depends on the bounces.
Okay, I had to look at my phone. Sorry, I'm going to give you a wild. You go first with your wild pick. It's not those 4 you took. Now your wild card pick, it's 5-1, Dustin Johnson, right? If you bet 100, you'll win $3,500 on him, right?
Right.
So he's 35-1. Somebody that's at 50 or 100-1. What's your wild pick?
Max Homa.
I like it, and that's not that wild, right? I'm going to give you mine.
The guy's good, and he's also another good ambassador for golf. He's got a great sense of humor. He's a fun guy. He's got great attitude, and all these guys are such good sports. And you know, golf is a wonderful world.
I'm rooting for this guy. I just know a little bit about him. Nikolai Hogard.
Huh.
Now, don't confuse him. I think it's his brother, Rasmus Hogard. But I'm putting some heaviness on Nikolai Hogard, probably 100-1 or more. But It wouldn't surprise me if he's a top 10. Like if there was a top 10 bet that he's in the top 10 and he gets 30-1 for something like that, I might place a bet on that.
I think that, you know, I'm not much of a, I was going to say golf gambler, but I do appreciate gambling on a lot of levels. But golf to me is such a crapshoot because literally they're all good enough to win any event they enter. Everybody in the field's good enough to win, depending on the bounces and who's on that day. I mean, how often do you go from shooting 82 to 92 and one day after the other? So golf, the ball bounces funny. Sometimes it goes in the hole, sometimes it lips out all day. That's what makes it so much
Unwound.
fun for us to watch, because they, even at the top level, bad bounces and great putts come into play. So
All right, so you got Fowler, Cameron Smith, and Spieth. I got Hovland, Dustin Johnson, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Sam Burns. Your Homa is your wild card, and Hogard is mine. Well, listen, this has been good. Hopefully it's a great Open Championship, and the weather's decent, and the balls don't move on the green because of the 40-mile-an-hour gusts.
and we'll have to do an episode of two dopes doping out the Travers up at Saratoga later in the month.
It's hard. As Billy Harmon says, betting on golf is really hard.
Yeah, there's more, you better on a horse race. If it's a gigantic field, there's 19 horses, and that's a gigantic field.
And you've won picking the one good one out of 19. That's
Yeah,
why
maybe 1 out of 19 times. So,
all right. Well, we hope they have a great tournament at the Liverpool Hunt Club at the Royal Liverpool Hoylake Racecourse, whatever you want to call it. We hope everybody has fun.
Thanks for joining us
Casper.
today.
Billy
We
Harmon,
really appreciate your
Double
feedback.
Indemnity,
And please
Markey,
subscribe to the
Two
show
Router,
and hit the
Claude
bell
Harmon,
icon so you get notified
Movie
of
Classics,
new episodes.
Mark Gable,
Hit them
Odd
hard
Job,
and hit them often.
Best 36 Holes.